Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, welcome back to another stream here today. And we are going to be taking a look at some stocks, as usual. Perfect. Great. Love it. Alrighty, so first stock on the watch list, hey Kelly, is going to be Lululemon. I really hurt my neck just like 2 seconds ago. I don't know what I did. It was weird. Yeah, Lululemon, not the craziest about how it's set up this morning, but it is an earnings report. It did drop from 234 down to 215, so it had a pretty significant move. And Lulu always seems to have a pretty wild trading day off of earnings where it has some pretty decent moves that you can get in on. So, nonetheless, going to definitely be watching Lululemon here today. With the way that it kind of spiked up here pre-market, we kind of had this little push and then pop. When it does that, it makes me not want to short it. So for the time being, I'm going to be focused more on long bias trading. So right now, we still have some time until the bell, but I would probably go with a long kind of bias on it for now, looking for a move over the top of 226 pre-market. If it truly does want to go bullish, we might see this push back up, towards the 232 mark on the day. But still, again, in order to even for me to really look for a big shorting move, it'd have to be getting below kind of the 222 mark, okay? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, dude, absolutely it has bad luck. It's just comfortable. Daniel, yeah, PLAB had a big move yesterday. Stocks like that will have big moves on their earnings days. Following day, they're going to slow out in volume. So I only trade things like that on the day of earnings. Other than that, I don't trade them. Aramco Oil, yeah, when it becomes a publicly traded company, I'll probably end up watching the IPO. That's about it. Yeah, it's a big company. All right. So another one we'll point out is going to be Netflix this morning. So Netflix over the course of the past couple days, let me do a 5-day chart. Anyways, we're watching Netflix short today. Maybe we'll see. It keeps kind of fighting around, but ultimately this is sort of like an inverse head and shoulders pattern. But right now, the way that the stock is actually trading, it's rejecting kind of the head and shoulders pattern. It's not holding it. So I do believe we're going to see Netflix fall into a pretty decent down moving short today. Let me double check something too. Yeah, we'll probably just watch Netflix short. Yeah, so like ideally I'd like to see Netflix get back below the 295, pretty much 295. That's where I'd like to see Netflix get back down below to really kind of feel comfortable on the down move or a short move there, okay? Then lastly, what was the other one? It was just kind of like CDC. We'll talk a bit about some of the other ones here in a bit, but let's see. AVGO earnings isn't. No, AVGO is a big price. Let's see. AVGO earnings, no volume. I would just pass on it and probably better opportunity. It's going to be a light volume. It's going to have a really wide spread. I would probably leave AVGO alone. Roku bear flag, possibly. No, not really a bear flag there on Roku, but it does look more bearish than bullish for the time being. I would probably watch it to the downside, look for a short on that today. With the way it's moving, ideally you want to see it get below yesterday's low first, then you're going to want to get below all these low points here. But yeah, I'd be more on the short side than I would be the long side on Roku, especially after yesterday we had a push up. We got smacked down. I would look for a short move on Roku today. FWP, haven't even heard of that. So they had a reverse split. and then they just got pumped up. Yeah, you could follow that for continuation move, but again, it was coming off a reverse split. So for one, this company is already shit. It's garbage. So, it's really not a good stock to truly be trading. So odd, very odd. That happened yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I won't trade it. The volume's too light. Spread's probably terrible. So if you want to trade it, by all means. But this is most likely something you would want to stay away from in terms of safety and protecting yourself. Starbucks, nice gap up this morning. So that just broke out a little bit. Yeah, broken up on its tops. Yeah, you could follow Starbucks for a long today. It's getting over the tops of its resistance. So if it truly wants to break out and keep moving, today would be the day that it would probably do it. If not, maybe tomorrow. But good to follow Netflix for a little bit of a long play today. What do I think about LK? I think LK got smoked yesterday, or it was the day before. No, it was yesterday. I would be... probably be short bias on LK today. Yeah, I would probably be more short bias on LK today. Maybe it's a long. I don't know. It's kind of a funky setup. Nah, I would probably be on the short side, bear side today with LK. Shopify ready. Let's take a gander. How is it even close to Shopify? I don't. Yeah, missed that day. Pulls back, tries yesterday, doesn't work. Is it gapping up and over today? No. Yeah, Shopify. Yeah, this is pretty much the do or die day for Shopify. I'm gonna go with it probably not breaking out. So I think we're on the downside today of Shopify. It's close. It looks, yeah, I mean, it's pretty sure. I would say, well, I wouldn't really be too long bias on Shopify until we're getting over 374.65. And then as long as we're below 374.65, I'd be on the bear side of Shopify for right now. Jeez. What do I recommend for buying into gold? I mean, you could look at the Spider GLD, GDX. You could buy physical gold and silver. Yeah, some of the big, common, reputable ETFs are fine. Don't go into leverage ETFs. If you're going to be buying gold and silver for the purpose of buying gold and silver to be invested in it for the next recession, then you don't want to be buying anything leveraged like, just like NUGT or whatever those random things are. Don't buy leverage ETFs for investing. Yep, LMPX is on a move. It is a recent IPO. You guys can follow LMPX. I've seen it. I haven't really been following it. It's just not my bag. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know. It's just not something I'm really into trading. It is moving. I was considering watching it today, but again, for me to get in the way that I trade, the spread's probably so big. It'd probably be more of a pain for me to trade than anything. PCG started selling off yesterday. The likelihood that PCG does some sort of bullish breaking out move today is pretty unlikely. We'll follow PCG into next week, but for right now, PCG is probably not going to be doing very fluent movement for long bias trading right now. Derm? Let's see. Yeah, so that broke out. We're up to this point. Yeah, actually, I mean, I'd probably stay long bias on it for right now. Normally, I wouldn't say that, but this is a situation where I wouldn't be betting short yet. I mean, this week so far is just way too strong. Yesterday, way too strong. Yeah, I would probably just focus on staying long bias for now, but I wouldn't. I honestly, I probably wouldn't even trade it myself right now. I'm just saying. If anything, I'd probably watch it long, but I wouldn't trade it myself. The move's already happened. You're late to the move. Again, whenever you look at something, and like, for example, if you're on the stream, you're like, what do you think about this, right? It should be, what do you think about it as it's starting to break out, as it's on a dip, right? now that it's happened, you're already too late. You're way late to that party, so you should probably just move on and most likely look for something else. 1087 target PCG. 1087. So you're basically going off this dip, previous high area. I mean, yeah, if this really wants to roll over and break down, PCG is probably coming all the way down to here, to 965 to fill that gap. So yeah, I would have a price target of 965 for a gap fill, if anything, but I would say we're gonna break out before filling the gap. I don't think we're gonna fill the gap, then go up, then break out. I say we probably break out, hit 14, 15, 16, and then we would maybe come down after that. But for right now, I'd just be on standby with PCG. Yeah. AMRX, already looked at AMRX. AMRX is a penny stock that you guys should follow today. Roku bear flag daily chart. Yeah, possibly. I am more bearish on Roku right now. AMRX, there's really no need to look at it. It's just a penny stock that's up pre-market. It's pretty decent. I mean, I guess we could look at it. Again, the more it goes up pre-market, the less I like it. And this is kind of like my number one go-to rule. Like, this could still be good as we get into... Actually, yeah, the pullback so far, and it's actually pretty legit. It's just pulling back, pull back. So it's actually a decent pullback. But again, the more a stock like this goes up pre-market, the less I like it as we get closer to market open. This price you see here at 508, 510, this is to signify the gap fill location. So we do have a gap fill trade up to 660. So it's possible we see AMRX up to 660 today. 4-hour chart's really bullish. You can kind of see we broke out. So if anything, if this really wants to turn into a great long day, I would target at most 660 on the day. The more it goes up pre-market, the more likely it is to dropping out of the gates. So far, we're pulling back. It's good to actually see this pull back now before the open, rather than to have the price just running straight up into the open. But we also have another 40 minutes before market open, so this could bounce and then run up into the open, and then it'd be less good at that time. So it's good that we're actually getting a pullback now. Hopefully this can consolidate, stay true, and then kind of run sideways till the open. So we'll watch this. It is going to be on one of our watches today, yes. Derm, we already talked about. Oh, you might have asked that already. Thoughts on Tesla? I think that was the next one. Thoughts on Tesla up to 52-week high. Dustin, you're going to be seeing a pullback on Tesla before it even comes close to hitting the 52-week high. Today, you're probably going to see a red day in Tesla. Tomorrow, probably a red day in Tesla. At least for the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 days, you're going to be either in red or consolidational down moves on Tesla, most likely. AMRX, we cover that. What's my opinion on PLCE? I haven't looked at it this morning, but that would be something good to follow for like earnings play continuations. I'd remain short biased on PLCE for right now because it moved out and just continued fading. Just continued fading all day yesterday, so I would stay short biased on PLCE for now. PTI, as you guys can see, if you guys were a part of that weekend watch list, I said to be short bias on PTI. We're starting to have the down move on PTI start, right? We kind of had a down pullback. Again, I'm going to be talking about PTI in a different manner. I think today I'm planning on making that video about TCCO today and a video about PTI, and it's all about how to know when a penny stock is most likely going to be a long versus a short, like 80%, 90% of the time. And so I hope it just gets tons of views because it's really going to be a fantastic video, but it probably won't. But I'm planning on doing that today. I was going to do it tomorrow, and then I stopped trading, and I worked a little bit, and then I ate some food, and then I went and see my mom and my niece and my nephew. Then I went and seen a buddy who's in town from up north Michigan, and then I went and worked out. Then I came home, and I did laundry. I cooked dinner. I did dishes, and then I went in bed. I read my book, and then I watched a little bit of TV, and then I went to bed, and here I am. Stocks. Yeah. anyways, PTI, I would say if you're following it, we're starting to see some sellers coming in. I'd be more betting on the downside. But do note, I don't know if it is or isn't anymore, but when I was playing with it last week, this was a shortable stock. So this is easy to borrow. And as you can see, the short, so pretty much put it this way, this is a part of the video that I'll be making later today, but the stock is shortable. It's an easy to borrow stock, so it's not going to be easy to short. Does that make sense? That probably didn't make sense. Let me rephrase that. The stock is regularly available for a retail trader to short into. 90% of penny stocks are not regularly available for the average retail trader to short into. In order for any retail trader to normally short a penny stock, on average, they're going to have to be using some type of interactive broker that has specific shares to short on the stock. TD Ameritrade, on average, never has shares to regularly short on penny stocks. You have to get them through their hard-to-borrow program. This is really taking us down a deep, dark hole. I hope you guys are keeping up. Okay, so if TD Ameritrade stock, you know what, just screw it. I can't keep going. I just got to wait for the video. I'm going to make the video on it. Let's just wait it there. Okay, just forget about what I was going to say. We'll just wait. I'll make the video later today. Okay, CLVS looks like a possible ABCD setup. It could be. I don't know, though. CLVS. Back to, wait, CLVS? That's not CLVS. Jesus, I hate myself sometimes. Nope, does not look like. I mean, it's possible. I mean, you could be in like the earliest stages of ABCD, but even that, I only consider ABCD on intraday charts. I mean, to consider an ABCD on like a long-term chart, I mean, there's so many different possibilities that could happen within the course of that it'd be, I mean, maybe. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for an ABCD here on CLVS, you have A, B, you'll have to see something like that, which would be C, and then C would have to come all the way up over these tops here, and then you'd get D, and then D, again, is not going to run all the way through the highs, so it's really not a true ABCD. It would most likely top out here, so there's the likelihood that you're going to get an ABCD pattern here on CLVS is pretty much 0%. But I mean that's your level right there is 1250-ish to the 13 that you'd be looking for a short-term breakout to possibly retest the highs of like 17, 16. Okay. CLVS. AMD isn't just consolidation. I'm not even going to look at that. There's really nothing there for us on that right now. I've bought gold and silver by bars, coins, and I have different stocks and ETFs for gold and silver too. Well, okay, so like daily swinger, right? All good news on CVS, yet the stock goes sideways. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's look at this differently. You want to buy a company. Right now, it's priced at $80. And it's been going sideways, even with good news. Okay, well, again, remember that everything listed in the stock market, is a company. And all companies have a true value. And investors, smart, intelligent investors, should not pay a per share price for a stock, for a company, if it's overvalued. So it's very well possible that $80 is the true value of CVS. And that is what the company is worth, regardless of what the news is. Who gives a shit if they stop selling cigarettes? Who cares? Whatever it is. Unless it's going to actually change the intrinsic value or the legitimate value and worth of the company, then it's really pointless at the end of the day. Right? News does make stocks move erratic, and that's why we use news to trade. But at the end of the day, if a stock isn't moving, even if it has good news, right, don't sit there and say that it doesn't make sense. No, the market is always correct, and a stock has a true value because it's a company, and every company has a true worth and a true value. And if that company's value is and or met by the current share price, then the likelihood of it staying there, it's pretty good. And CVS is a pretty reliable business. I mean, there's a lot of them. It's not like they change their business model around too much. I mean, all you do is walk in the store and buy groceries and stuff. It's not like Amazon that's like making wireless checkout, and now they're doing one-day delivery, and now they're going to be doing drone delivery. Like Amazon News is like really truly changing their business model and making it far different, right? CVS, I've literally been going to the same CVS downtown Norfolk since I was like 10. Nothing changed. Few things. Not very changed. Okay, CCXI, I have no idea. USB or bank stocks. I honestly, as bad as it sounds, I mean, like I wouldn't, like really, if I had tons of money, no, I don't know. Honestly, I just would like to be short the bank stocks. I mean, they're all garbage anyways. I mean, all banks are really just trash. So, honestly, I'd probably be short banks. I mean, if you think about it, it's one of the worst business models, I think. Actually, no, it's a really great business model. They just suck at doing it. But, yeah, I mean, all the banks, if you look at all the banks right now, they're pretty much all insolvent. They don't have any money. Like today, right now, if like, maybe 10,000, 30, I don't know, maybe more than that, but maybe if like a couple 100,000 of us went and all just ran on the Chase Bank, we could pretty much bankrupt them in a day. Same thing with JP. I mean, that's the thing is like if everybody that actually owned an account with one of these banks decided to go and hit the bank and just withdraw all their money, I mean the banks would all go out of business, right? So it just tells you that they're not strong at all, right? If a company, right? Like that's it. If a bank cannot survive when all the customers pull out all their money, then the bank is a terrible business, plain and simple. Because if they don't have cash flow to continue running their business, then what are they? They're more like a charity, right? The only way they work and the only way they operate is if we donate our money to them for them to operate on. And so it's basically a foundation. It's like a charity. Okay, so what I'm saying is banks right now currently they don't have enough. They're not positive cash flow enough to keep themselves afloat if some shit really hits the fan. So they're all insolvent, and that's part of the reason why the Federal Reserve has been having to bail out pretty much every single bank on Wall Street with overnight repos for the past couple months. So what everyone thought was a big deal back in 2008. For the bailouts, right? That was it, the bailout, right? You bailed out GM, and then some of the banks got bailed out. And I don't know what the numbers were off the top of my head, what trillions or billions they were, but whatever it was back in 2008, and again, I'm sorry, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, and usually I would know this, but I don't. Whatever the numbers were back in 2008, and like 2009 that the Federal Reserve and, it's called the government bailouts had to do, I mean, back then the numbers were outrageous. It was like crazy. Like, whoa, that's how much you're giving to these people to bail them out after they just failed us. Like no, the bank should have failed. Now, if we would have let the banks fail, it would have been catastrophic nationwide, and it would have took a long time to recover from. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's how you get stronger in life as an individual, as a company, as a group, with friends. I mean, as a whole, as a world, you have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to get your ass kicked or handed to you when you deserve it. And the banks did not deserve to stay afloat. Same thing with like GM and Ford. Ford and GM did not deserve to stay afloat. They should have gone bankrupt, because what that does, it builds us a system where companies and big corporations think that they're too big to fail, and that the government will always be there to bail them out. And if the government is always there to bail them out, just like your dad or your mom is always there to pick you up out of jail or bail you out of a bad situation, or you got kicked out of your friend's house because you guys are doing probably bad things, and now your mom or dad's going to come pick you up in some random neighborhood at 12 o'clock midnight, while you're strolling around in a park trying not to get caught by the cops, or, you decide to go to the mall because you thought it'd be cool with your friends and shoplift some clothes at Abercrombie and Fitch, and then who do you call? hey mom, hey dad, I know you guys still love me, but you're really gonna hate what the fuck I have to tell you. Hey, I'm at the mall down the street and I just got caught shoplifting, and either you come pick me up now or I get put on probation or go to jail. All right, I'll be there just a second. So your parents are usually always there to bail you out, and so if this continues, this process continues to happen, children learn that their parents are always there for them, and God given, their parents are always going to be there for their children. It's just natural way of life. But natural way of life is not, banks fail and suck and they lose hundreds of billions of dollars and then we come in and save their ass. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. They're supposed to go under to teach everybody else a lesson in that marketplace that if you do this, you will fail and you will have no one there to help you. You need to make sure that you are being responsible with your business. And so that is the problem that we have. And now what was going on back in '08 in terms of the bailouts and how much money had been used to bail out some of these companies, back then it was like crazy astronomical numbers. Those sort of numbers are happening on like a daily to weekly basis for the past 3 months, almost 2.5 months. The Federal Reserve has been bailing out banks and overnight repos that have well exceeded probably tenfold the amount of money that was bailed out in '08. So again, when you look at '08 and go, wow, that was a big problem. How do you guys not think that by doing that same bailout tenfold in like a 2-month basis, 3-month period in 2019 into 20 isn't a big deal? I don't know what is, right? So when people tell us that the economy is good and everything's strong, I mean, if the economy was good and businesses were strong, then banks wouldn't need billions and billions of dollars every single night to make sure that they stay afloat and don't go insolvent. But hey, the economy must be strong. Things must be going well. All right, so that little spiel led us into so how do you guys know, or not, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. I need to get some more sleep. Anywho, enough of that spiel. Well, so again, right, Chris? So here, so let me rephrase this, and I'll just take another couple of minutes. So this is another really good point, right? Chris in the chat, and this is always up for debate, right? Chris goes, I disagree that GM shouldn't have been bailed out. So Chris is basically saying that they should have been bailed out, right? And the argument here at stake is GM is one of the few companies that has employees, an enormous amount of the U.S. workforce, which would inevitably take millions of people out of work if they failed, right? Okay. So if GM would have failed and if they didn't get bailed out, what would have happened? Millions of workers would have lost their job. Correct. Do you feel that if those millions of workers lost their job, they would have all of a sudden decided to completely stop working and never look for another job? Probably not. Those people probably would have found another job. Would it have been a rough period? Would it be hard on their families? Absolutely. And that's really just the way of life. When an individual chooses to work for somebody, the individual should not see this as a safe haven that is never going to have issues, because remember that anything you do in this life, you're usually doing it for another human, working for another human, and humans make mistakes all the time. So again, even though millions of people would have lost their job, it's one of those situations where it is what it is. Those workers would have found other jobs, and that company would have gone out of business, and any other automotive company that stayed in would have then started getting all of GM's customer base, because you have one automotive company go out of business. Now, all the people that loved GM now need to buy cars from somebody else, so now they're going to go to their nearest competition that's still afloat. That company then becomes bigger. That company then needs to hire more people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So regardless of how and what would have happened, everything always works out in the end. And I know this might sound funny, but for example, we have drug dealers in the world. And one of the big things that happens is one drug dealer gets taken out and a new one pops up. So, right, you have one drug dealer get taken out. Nobody has drugs to buy. People are like, where do I buy my drugs? Where do I buy my drugs? Don't worry. Some new guy will pop up here shortly thereafter and be able to supply the whole market with all their drugs. An average kingpin or like monster mafia cartel dude, his average lifespan once he reaches the peak or the top of the food chain is only like 7 years, and then he dies. But don't worry, there's always somebody there to take their place. And that is why we live in the free market capitalist society where we have competition. So it's a touchy subject whether you let millions of people lose their jobs. But at the end of the day, it's really nobody's responsibility to make sure that an individual keeps their job other than the people that run the business. And if they fail to do so, then it shouldn't be put on the American people. You know what I'm saying? So it really is a dog-eat-dog world, right? And the sooner you realize that and prepare yourself for a dog-eat-dog world, the more stable you will become. All right, so everybody take care. Have a good day. hopefully I didn't hurt anybody's feelings with today's stream. And with that being said, everybody take care. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.